Y'all planning for this?
Welcome back to another great episode of Tips from the Trenches. I'm your host, Micah Shalansky, and this week we're going to be focusing on tips on the productivity side, right? So many different areas that we can add massive values to our clients, to our teams, to our lives, to our families' lives, but it really focuses around how are we productive? Now, sometimes, and I'm raising my hand right now, that I'm very guilty of being focused on making myself hyper-productive and not always looking out into the team because I can feel like I'm getting in their way. I can feel like I'm interfering with their process, right? They're kind of running things on their own, but am I really helping them be productive? Well, one of my superpowers, and yes, this might be egotistical, is one is problem solving, and two is effectiveness, right? Not efficiency, but effectiveness. Choosing to do the right things and doing those very effectively is one of the things that we're very good at. So it's one of the things I want to help my team with as well. And a great example of that is teaching your team to run meetings. How many office meetings, staff meetings, review meetings, etc. do other team members show up to, and you're going through it and you're like, you know what, this really isn't a hyper effective meetings for everyone's time. Add up the hourly rates of everyone in the room, you can get some pretty expensive meetings when you're not being effective. Now, yeah, sometimes you need coffee talks, sometimes you need other things that go on, but is the meeting just not being effective? Well, let's take some ownership in that. More than likely, at least in my office's case, this was my fault in not teaching my team how to effectively run meetings. I thought because I do it during Surge 7-8 times a day, I run a hyper effective meeting, we're able to get things done, that everybody should just know how to run a meeting, right? And that doesn't work that way. We got to make sure we're leading our team in this case as well. So one of the ways that we had to lead our team was actually showing them how the effective way is to run a meeting, especially as our team grows. Now we have leads, they have different departments, they have more people under them. How do we help our team lead meetings, especially when it's an all hands on deck and all of a sudden we have a bunch of people on one conference call? How do we make that effective? A couple things we've learned from that. Number one, meeting always starts on time. Period. Doesn't matter who's talking, they get interrupted by the meeting host, and we start every meeting on time. If the meeting is supposed to start at 8, the agenda is starting to be discussed at 8 and what's going forward. Really, really important. So what about coffee talk? What about those other things that come on? We encourage our team to show up to the meeting 5 to 10 minutes early and talk with each other, chit chat, make sure that thing goes on the way, right? Break the ice. Those are wonderful things to do, and they can do it by showing up to the meeting early. We show up as well and engage in that from time to time. But if the meeting starts at 8, whoever is running that meeting, we got to have one person designated to keep us on time. They immediately start talking to whoever at 8 o'clock and says, great, now it is 8 o'clock and now it's time to start the meeting. And the entire team knows and no one's offended by it because we've made it clear this is how we're going to run an effective meeting. So all meetings start on time. Number 2, all meetings end on time. This can be a really hard one. A couple of great ways to do that. One, you can have a clock on your screen. Someone can be sharing their desktop and you can have a clock that actually counts down and actually you can see the time going away. And so everybody can be very clear on what that's going to be. Also with that, have a clear agenda. What do you expect your team to accomplish on that meeting? Is it just a general discussion or are we actually taking action on these things? So the third thing is you have to have an agenda on the meeting and you have to stay on the agenda. If something gets sidetracked, the meeting host needs to come back and say, you know what, that's a great thing. How about you two people coordinate on the side? Or we can add this to next week's meeting agenda. But in order to end on time, which is the second thing, because we really want to be respectful of our teammates' time, we have to be able to watch this and be more vigilant in that. So number 1, meetings start on time. Number 2, meetings end on time. Number 3, you have to have an agenda to go through it. And you as the advisor have to lead this. What does that mean? I'm not going to be super rude about it, but at 8:30, if the meeting's supposed to be over, I'm hanging up. Now, you could say that's rude, but guess what? Now my entire team knows I'm hitting the hang up button at 8:30 because the meeting's over. And magically, due to Parkinson's law, things take as long as we allow them to take. Things get done in less and less time. So I would say one of the tips on this, if your meetings are running long, start cutting your meeting times, right? Cut them in half. Yes, I know that's dramatic. You don't think it can happen. What if it could? What if you could wave a magic wand and those things could happen? So start reducing your meeting times and hold to that by hanging up when that time is over. And you will be amazed at how effective your meetings become. So again, be a leader. You have to lead in this example. We have to teach our team members. Every single one of our team members should know how to run a meeting, because now when they're talking to clients, now when they're engaging with other people, they know and can respect other people's time. They can know and respect how to run meetings, and everyone feels a heck of a lot better after they've jumped out of a meeting when you had an organizer that knew how to run that meeting. It was worth everyone's time than, oh my gosh, where did I just spend the last 90 minutes? So that's the tip for this week. Let's make sure we're teaching our team how to be effective leaders, teaching our team how to be effective in running meetings. And until next week, happy planning.
Hold on before we go. Something that you need to know. This isn't tax, legal, or investment advice. That isn't our intent. Information designed to change lives. Financial planning can make you thrive. Start today, don't think twice. Be a better husband, father, mother, and wife. The perfect RIA